Hey folks, it's Eric. It's December the 11th, 2024. This is what we're doing today. So we're creating order tickets that sends also an order bracket so that we can take an order with our order ticket. So when I turn that off and I turn it back on, you see when I turn it on, we got in at 50 cents and we've got a bracket 4 cents above and 4 cents below. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get out of this. I've already got everything here. You can see what I've got on the side of the chart. If I open up my coding environment, you see that I have order tickets, I have objects, everything. So I have an order ticket, I have a bracket order ticket, order sends order. But I'm going to delete all that. I'm going to delete everything, and then I'm going to show you how to make it all. Okay. So one of the first things that you want to do is you want to go to the toolbox. Click on the toolbox. You want to pull out an order ticket. Double click that. You want to pull out a bracket order ticket. Double click that. And then an OSO, which is an order sends order ticket. Okay, so we'll start with the order ticket. We'll come over here, and then we'll just call it OT. You can change the name if you want to. I'm just going to call it entry. And then up top, it's got to be a string. Up top, we do need to designate the symbol type, the account, and the quantity. So in here, we're going to have inputs for those. It'll say I quantity. And remember, when we want to put those in as inputs for our objects, for our toolbox, we've got to designate the type, the class. So it's a string. The quantity, we'll start it at just 1. We're going to have I account, which is a string as well. And we'll just put that. Actually, we'll do get account ID, and then we'll have actually quantity will be an integer. That's a string, and then action, we don't need to do it for that, and then symbol. So string, we'll do the symbol as ISIM. And again, you can change this if you want to, but for the time being, it will just be whatever you have on your chart. Okay, so we'll come over here, and then we will go ahead and put in ISIM. It's a stock. Account will be I account. The quantity will be IQTY. And then action for our initial order will be a buy. We're going long. And you can change it to whatever you want to. It'll be a market order. Okay, so that's all good. Now let's go to our bracket order. So this will be the next thing that will need to be attached to our original order. So we're going to call it BOT, and the symbol will be ISIM. Come on. All right, it is a stock. The account will be I account. The quantity will be IQTY. And if anybody who's frustrated like me, all you have to do is when you are typing something, just hit the down arrow. Once you hit enter, you hit the down arrow, and it goes to the next one. You don't have to keep using your mouse and clicking in and clicking out. You can just hit the down arrow. Okay, so the action here will be a sell. And so we'll sell both of them, correct? So for your take profit and for your stop loss. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is go down here to price offset, and then, price style. And it'll be a parent plus, so it'll be referencing the parent ticket. So whatever the parent ticket is, your limit price, your take profit, and your stop loss will be a margin around that. That'll be your initial price, and you'll go above and below that. Okay, so if you want to, you can go down here to tickets. This is just for later, right? So depending on how much you're into programming, this is for later. You go down to order name. So that you can kind of keep track of what's going on. This will be it's a string, BOT, take profit. Okay, and then you go down here to your protection. And it's a primary ticket. It's a protection, but it's the primary ticket of your protection, if that makes sense. BOT, stop loss. Okay, all right, so That's good there. Now we go to OSOT. So this is an order since order ticket, which attaches your bracket order to your initial order. Now we have to actually manually do that. So our initial ticket will be the primary order ticket. And then we come over here into our program and we're going to say once. And this is just going to be a really short program. It's just going to be a once program type thing. So once, so our whole program is just going to be a once program. So we're going to enter an order one time. And so we don't technically need to put a once here. I mean, yeah, let's just not put that to confuse you. Yeah, no, I will put it because normally when you don't have a once here and you're just running this in your normal program, you're going to want to make sure that this is once. So once your OSO ticket dot secondary tickets is plus equal to your OT, just your regular entry order. And this should only happen one time. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, now I'm going to put once here because we only want to run this program one time. Okay. And before we attach these, and actually the order since order ticket should be a BOT. So we're attaching the bracket order ticket to the, because remember the order ticket as the primary ticket is already on here. We want to attach the bracket order ticket as a secondary ticket. And before we attach it, we need to designate what the values are for the limit price and for the stop price. Okay, so the bracket order ticket, BOT, dot limit price offset, that's your top price, it's got to be equal to something. And then your bracket order ticket dot stop price offset got to be equal to something. Now this price below, because we are going long, this price below for our stop loss has got to be minus. And this price above has got to be a plus. Now the interesting thing about the offset is they are measured in ticks. And I couldn't remember where I found it at, but I know I found that some time ago. And if you don't know that, it will stump you for the rest of your life. Okay, but no, seriously. This has got to be in ticks. So when I'm working with futures, it's a little bit easier because ticks are really what you're traditionally looking at futures with. But when you're looking at equities, traditionally, you're probably going to find that the quote-unquote ticks will be 1 cent, but not always, right? And that's why I came over here to a really illiquid stock, because you'll find that on illiquid stocks where it just moves in these small ranges, it looks like these are moving in 1 cent increments, but it doesn't always have to do that. So some of the times, if this whole span might be 1 cent, then the stock might be moving 1/100th of a cent for every move. And if that's the case, then when you come and you're working with ticks, you cannot put 1 cent for your tick. You've got to do the calculations. So this is what the calculations look like. And it took me a while to figure this out, so I'll probably have to figure this out some other time in the future, but for the time being, we have it figured out. Okay, so essentially what you want to do is you need to figure out how much this tick is. So every equity, every instrument is going to have a different tick. So this goes from here to here, to here, to here, here to here, to here, to here, right? So you got to figure out what that value is. And then you also have to figure out, now this is just part of your programming, whether or not you're using average true range or you're using, you want to get out in 4 cents or 3 cents or 2 cents. You need to figure out what the dollar value is that you want to get out. And you also need to know what the value is of this tick range. And that's how you calculate what your ticks should be. So let me see if I can get this right, because I was playing with it earlier. All right, so let's come back over here. So our value 1, so our tick amount, our number of ticks should essentially be, we're going to take the range that we want to go, the range that we want to travel. So in this other chart, we're going to call that range. We're going to say we want to go 4 cent, right? So when we come back over here, we say we want to travel 4 cent, 0.04, divided by, now what are we dividing it by? We're trying to see how many ticks there are in 4 cents. So in order to get that, we're going to use the minimum move, min move, divided by the price scale. Okay, and now that is essentially saying the minimum move, which is a distance. How many minimum moves are there in the price scale? So on some stocks, your price scale might be $1, and if the minimum move is 1, then 1 of $1 is what? It's well, one of $1 will be 1, but if the price scale was, say, 100 to represent $1, then the minimum move was 1, then 1/100th is 1 cent. So it would essentially be moving 1 cent. So again, like I said, you got to kind of figure out the calculations there, but it's the same way that points and ticks work, right? So in futures, a 1 point equals 4 ticks, but the minimum move on the future that carries 4 ticks to a point, the minimum move is 25. The price scale is 100. So there are 100 ticks. It's just that the minimum number of ticks it can move at a time is 25. So 25 over 100 would give you 1/4, or give you 4 ticks to equal 1 point. So it's the same thing here. And you have to put the dollar amount that you want to travel over top of this min move price scale, over price scale. All right, so once we get that, we're going to put value 1 there. So we want our target to be up 4 cent, and then we want our stop loss to be value 1 divided by 2. So, and remember there's a minus there, which means that it's going to be on the lower side. Okay, and so once we do these things, then we're going to go ahead and assign that secondary ticket to that bracket order ticket as a secondary ticket to our order since order. Terminology, you got to get it right. You got to get it right. Okay, all right, so then we're going to send the order. Okay, so then we're going to do osot.send. And let's verify that. Okay, well, we didn't have any variables, so get that out of there. Okay, now no errors. Okay, now it did give me 1 error, which is, or 2, I guess, the stop market, the protection order's got to be a stop market or a stop limit, so we didn't set that. So let's go back over to bracket order ticket, and then for our types, target type, the target type will be a limit, and then the bottom will be a stop market. Okay, and that's why we have over here for our bracket order ticket our limit price offset and our stop price offset. Okay, all right, let's verify that. Okay, so no true errors. Okay, come back, delete that. Now we're going to open up the trading window. Now when I apply this, I'm going to apply it. And you see once I applied it, it got us in here at 49 cents. And you have to keep in mind, you know, the illiquidity of the stock where your values are. But so we went up. I think the market must have been here at 50 cents, right? And so 4 cents more than 50 cents is 54 cents. And then half of 4 cents will be 2 cents. So 2 cents from 50 cent will put us at 48. But like I said, where we actually ended up getting in is here. And that's what you call slippage. And yeah, in an illiquid stock like this, you got to expect something. You really have to expect it in the market in general. But that is pretty much what we have, folks. So that is the simplest way that I can break down how to do this now. So same thing. Now you see that we have 4 cents here. If we went over to something like Microsoft, this would not work, right? Because 4 cent, right? So it did something funky. Okay. And that's why I say you have to have your conditions to make sense according to what you're trading. So we want to go from what, 49.24 to 80. So we'll call that 55 cents. So let's come back over here. Put 55 right there. Verify that. And then it already put us a order in over here. Okay. So you see it put us in here and then 55 cents above. All right, let's close this out though. And then just turn it back on. Okay. So 49.18, or like I said, give or take whatever the spread is causing us to get in right here. So we'll say 18. We'll call that 20, and 20 and 55 will put us at 75, and 55 and 2 divided by 2, 25. Call it 27. 27 from 18 or 20. Yeah, so it's in that ballpark. Like I said, considering slippage. All right, well, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you. Like I said, I think probably one of the big takeaways here, and it took me a while to figure it out. It took me some number crunching to figure it out, but this is probably one of the most valuable pieces that you can take away from this tutorial if you're trading stocks is, and you're doing the bracket orders, is you're going to need to have this piece here. Otherwise, you can go in here and you can just change your target limit price, right? You can set your target limit price. Instead of doing a parent plus, you can get rid of that and do none, and then just do a target limit price. We'll put it at 450. Okay, and then when I verify this, you see it put my limit price at 450. Okay, so let's turn that off, turn it back on. What happened to it? All right, let's try that again. All right, well, let me see here. 450, it did it the first time. It doesn't look like nothing changed, so the limit price at 450, even though this still gives us a limit offset, it should be respecting the parent plus, but it should be respecting the style, if you will. Okay, and then after the style, it should be respecting what else. So let's get this limit price off there. Just well, maybe it that's interesting. It looked like it still used this information from this price offset. So keep that in mind, right? And if anything, this confused it because it said that there's no price. It said that the style is none. So we should be going by the target price. But then when we came over here and we tried to execute an order, we said, oh yeah, but no, there is a limit price offset. Even though there was no limit price offset style as parent plus. It confused it, and so it just did not put in an order at all, right? So keep that in mind. Be very careful that if you're going to use the limit price style, you're going to use the just the limit price itself, that you don't want to have any numbers, or you don't want to set the price offset. Yeah, well, but again, I feel like that's a bug. I feel like you should be able to have that there and still get your order at 450, but it's not doing it. So if it ain't doing it, it ain't doing it. But it did do it that very first time where I set it to 450. So not sure why I did it the first time and then none thereafter. But you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to not set it. Okay. Yeah, you're going to have to turn this off in order for it to work properly. Okay. All right, guys. Well, if that's all, if you don't have anything else for me, then I am out of here. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.